There they go from their 2000 Coast to Coast album. That's Westlife and I Lay My Love on You, getting the early Monday cruise underway. Well, good morning and welcome to Freedom FM's Night Cruise. The best in romance and relaxing 90s and naughty songs anywhere on the radio between now and 3 a.m. My name is Feargal and I'd like to thank you for joining me this morning, and if I say so myself, I think I've thrown a half-decent show together for you. A little bit later on, I'm going to give you a crack at a game called Love Slowed Down, and not only that, I also want to find out what you got up to over this last weekend, and I'll tell you more about both of those in a bit. And if you have anything you want to get off your chest, well, then you can reach out to me, often and early, of course, on WhatsApp and text to 085 2899 092. And if you are going to use WhatsApp this morning, then I'd love a voice note. If you don't want to WhatsApp or text, you can email me, hello@freedomfm.ie. And if you're on the socials, then search Voice Actor Fergs on Insta, Blue Sky and Threads. Right, with all the housekeeping done, let's go back to the first week of January 1990. So this song, which is named after Elvis's favourite hair dye colour, really makes it into the playlist by the skin of his teeth. This is Black Velvet. The video for that was banned on MTV and VH1, in America, of course, not here, and the song itself is rightly regarded by many as Madonna's strongest feminist statement. That's Justify My Love on Freedom FM's Night Cruise. Now, tell me, did you have a good weekend? Probably a bit of a loaded question that. Well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but no matter what kind of weekend you had, I'd love to hear about it for a part of the show we like to call I Know What You Did Last Weekend. I know it's a terrible title, but it was all I could come up with. So no matter what you did, big or small, get in touch on WhatsApp to 085 2899 092 and tell me what you got up to. As for me, well, I went out to a concert in Dublin on Friday night, only to turn up at the place to find the whole thing had been cancelled. No notice on the band's website or social media, no notice on the website or social media of the place where the concert was supposed to be, or on the promoter's website. So, as you can imagine, I thought to myself, my weekend was going to be one of those weekends. But that said, myself and our friends, we got our ticket money back on the door and promptly spent it all in Dublin on Friday night, Saturday morning. Thankfully though, I still had enough left over to buy myself some overpriced soakage food at the Leinster-Benetton game on Saturday afternoon before crawling back home and spending all of Sunday in bed before coming into the studios this morning. You know what though? That's enough about me, because I want to hear about your weekend. So get in touch on WhatsApp to 085 2899 092 and let's squeeze the last few drops out of this weekend before we all end up back in work later on this morning. It's Freedom FM's Night Cruise, and a few moments ago I asked you to get in touch on WhatsApp 085 2899 092 to tell me what you got up to this weekend. And one person who has reached out is Ed Barnes, who's in Carlow. Fergal says, on Sunday I went with my daughters Cora and Ellie to the Carlow Kilo sale, and to be honest I had no idea what to expect. As it turns out, it was loads of vintage clothes for sale and you pay by the kilo. The girls had a great time and now look like how my older cousins used to look back in the 80s. Thanks for getting in touch, Ed. And I've been to a few of those sales and I still haven't found that M65 US military jacket that I used to wear back in the day. So if anyone has any leads, you know how to contact me. Another person who's been in touch this morning is Chris Abbott, who says, hey Feargal, on Friday night my wife Ellen and I went to the Button Factory in Dublin to go to the reggaeton party. Hours of great reggae music, and while we had a blast, neither of us are spring chickens, so it took the rest of the weekend to recover, says Chris. Be honest, Chris, it was worth it, wasn't it? Now, if you were out this weekend or just stayed at home snuggled up reading a good book, then get in touch with me on WhatsApp 085 2899 092 and let's celebrate what you got up to this weekend. But be quick, because we'll do our final round of I Know What You Did This Weekend shoutouts right after we lend an ear to Mr. Blunt. Puff Daddy on the Night Cruise from Freedom FM, where I want to say thank you to everyone who got in touch to tell me what you've been up to this weekend. So let's jump into our final round of I Know What You Did This Weekend shoutouts. by saying morning to Amy Gilbert, who sent in this WhatsApp. Feargal, this weekend I don't know what came over my husband and Brian and I. You see, we don't normally go out to music events, but I saw an advert online for the Swift-ageddon event at the Grand Social, and well, we ended up going. Hours and hours of back-to-back Taylor Swift songs, and while we did have a blast, I don't think I want to hear anything more from Taylor until the concert in June. Thanks for reaching out, Amy, and you say that now, but I'm sure by Wednesday you'll have Taylor back in your playlist. And finally for this morning, I want to say hello to Chris Neal, who reached out from Derry. Feargal says, Chris, my wife Erin and I are just back from the Millennium Forum, where we saw the ABBA tribute act Arrival from Sweden. The music was great and I'm still buzzing. And as I have an early start in the morning, I'm listening to the cruise to help me relax and come down a bit. Thanks for getting in touch, Chris, and I'm glad you had a good night. And thanks for choosing me and Freedom FM as the best place to chill out this morning. So, if you enjoyed finding out what other people got up to over the weekend, you know what to do. Tell your family and friends and tune in next Monday morning just after 1 a.m. when we'll do another round of I Know What You Got Up To This Weekend shoutouts. I think that was number 11 here back in 1996. From the album Blue is the Colour, that's The Beautiful South and Rotterdam or anywhere on the night cruise from Freedom FM, where it's time now to play our Love Slowed Down game. And if you haven't played this game before, I suppose I should tell you how it works and the amazing prize that you could win. You see, before the show started, I went into the production studio of Freedom FM here in the Bluebell Industrial Estate and dug out a famous 90s and or noughties romance and or relaxing hit song, which I slowed down. I recorded a short snippet of the song, and your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to tell me what song it is that I've slowed down. So, before I tell you how you can get in touch with your answer and what you could possibly win, let's have a quick listen to this week's Love Slowed Down, shall we? So if you know what song that is and would like to be in with the chance of winning yourself the stunning prize of a name check on the radio just before 3 a.m, then send me in your answer on WhatsApp to 085 2899 092 and tell me what song this is. Oh 085 2899 092 on text or WhatsApp if you know what song that is, and if I get any wrong answers, I'll let you know those right after we hear from Van. Released in November 1992, Heal the World got as high as number 2 and was kept off the Christmas number 1 slot by Whitney's I Will Always Love You, which I suppose is okay because if it had been released in 1993, it might have been kept off the Christmas number 1 slot by Mr. Blobby. This is the Night Cruise on Freedom FM, and so many of you wise night owls have been in touch with your answers for this week's Love Slowed Down game, and unfortunately I have to say some of you have sent in some wrong answers, so let me get those out of the way right now, and I can tell you that this week's Love Slowed Down is not Every Day by Phil Collins, nor is it From a Distance by Bette Midler, and it's definitely not Believe from Elton John. So if you know what song this is, and fancy being in with the chance of possibly getting a name check on the radio in a few minutes, then get in touch on WhatsApp 085 2899 092, but be quick because the answer is on the way right after we hear from the Honeys. It's the Night Cruise on Freedom FM, and I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's been sending me in their answers for this morning's Love Slowed Down game, and this morning I asked you to tell me what song this is. Now, if you're a regular listener, you know the computer in the studio only allows me to see 4 names at any one time, so while loads of you got this one correct, I can only say good morning and well done to Freya Long, who got in touch from Lucan, Sophie O'Connor, who sent her answer in from Killester, George Burns, who's over in Newbridge this morning, and Tom Greer, who got in touch from Coolock, who all correctly said that this week's Love Slowed Down is... Before I tell you though, remember, if you enjoyed playing Love Slowed Down, then tell your friends and to tune in next Monday morning at about 2 a.m. when we'll do it all over again. As for this week's Love Slowed Down, well, it's Leona Lewis and Bleeding Love. September 24th. Next year, you'll be in the point. That's simply read on the night cruise, and Stars tells me that is all the mess I can make of your radio this morning. Thank you for your company, both you and your messages made the show this morning. Now, Mike O'Brien, he'll be here with breakfast at 8, and before that, Alan will have the Freedom Years from 7. As for me, well, I'll be back at 11 p.m. tonight with another night cruise. Until then, thank you for your time this time, so until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.